So I want to look at the other side of this for a second. And I just want to be clear here. The Cincinnati Bengals should be sending the New York Jets flowers forever because the Jets have become such a disaster this year that we're not realizing the biggest disappointment in the NFL this year, the biggest failure in the NFL this year is not the New York Jets. It's not Aaron Rodgers. It's not everything that happened in New York. I know we've been trying to put them in the Super Bowl ever since Aaron Rodgers signed there. I get that. But let's be real. There is one team in the NFL that has an absolute superstar young quarterback that invested in the wide receiver position, chose to franchise a wide receiver, went all in this year on trying to win this year with a team that has been to a Super Bowl, with a team that we know is capable as a franchise of going to a Super Bowl, with a superstar pass rusher on the defensive side of the ball, and supposedly, as of a few years ago, a future head coach as a defensive coordinator. Think of the narratives we have tripped over ourselves to give about the Cincinnati Bengals and their approach to greatness, and then realize something. This year, the Bengals are awful. They scored 38 points, and their offense is a gift. And even with that gift, we turn around and instead of getting Santa Claus, we get Krampus because that defense is trash. And for them to allow that to be the version of this team, they have wasted Joe Burrow yet again. They have not just the money, but the year. They have wasted a year in the window of greatness that comes when you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow. It's irresponsible. It's disgusting to watch. And I just keep looking at the Bengals and thinking, for all of our yelling about the Jets, let's get it clear. The Bengals are a bigger failure every single day for what was expected and for how terrible they are.
It's hard to disagree with that. I mean, this is a team that, why do they keep T. Higgins around? It's because they thought they could win a Super Bowl with him, because they know likely he's walking in the postseason. And yes, I mean, the flip side of the Pittsburgh Steelers overcoming that terrible non-call that led to a pick six is the Bengals blowing this game when they had a pick six handed to them. Here you go. We're not going to call that. We're just going to look the other way. Well, Cam Taylor-Britt drags out George Pickens. He's going to take one to the house. We're not going to throw a flag on that. We're giving you 7 points. And you still lose at home? Like, Lou Anarumo, a few years ago, their defensive coordinator, every tape person in NFL media was just gushing about Lou Anarumo and how his schemes are so difficult and he's the Mahomes stopper and all this kind of stuff. He's lost it. And I assume that he does not return as their defense coordinator again, because how can he? The Bengals are on all those lists now of like most losses scoring this amount of points, most losses scoring this amount of points. Like, you're right. They had totally wasted a year of Joe Burrow's prime. This is a really, really disappointing football team. You have to wonder about Zac Taylor. You just have to wonder about everything. When you are the NFL's most disappointing team, and I don't disagree with you there, everything has to be under the microscope. And this was the loss that ruins our season. There are 8 losses. They're done. It's not happening. So you just have to look at everything from the outside looking in and say, what went wrong? And a lot of that too is, go back to, it's a small thing. And I know Jamar Chase has had a great year despite of it, but it goes back to the bad vibes about them not paying him. It really does to me. It started their season off on the wrong foot. They're not celebrating, hey, our great receiver who deserves this contract got paid right before week 1. Awesome. Let's go win some football games. It was, they don't pay that guy? What chance do I got, right? It's just bad vibes to start the season. I blame Mike Brown for that. Price has only gone up on Jamar Chase, as we've talked about. Just bad. Every single facet the Cincinnati Bengals could be bad this season. They've been bad, and someone's going to have to answer that when the season is done.
When you're 4-8 and you're 1-5 at home, 1-5 at home,
and getting an MVP level season out of Joe Burrow. Let's be real. Joe Burrow, if you eliminate the record, Joe Burrow's playing at an MVP level. We both agree on that, no doubt.
So you got Joe Burrow playing at an MVP level. So your quarterback that you paid is playing like the quarterback that you paid. Your superstar wide receiver is virtually untouchable in Jamar Chase. You've gotten a better season than anyone expected at the running back position. Your offense
Chase
can
Brown's
absolutely do anything to anybody. Your offense can do anything to anybody. And you're 4-8 and 1-5 at home. God, that's malpractice. That's just
so bad.
It takes it takes a different level of just being bad at what you do to be that bad when some of the elements are that good. And it just disappoints me, man, because Joe Burrow, like, we were setting this up to be Brady versus Manning for a generation. Like, it was going to be Mahomes versus Burrow every single year. And the thing of it is, it could be, if it weren't for the fact that Bengals are out here bangling and they're getting in the way of it and they're wrecking any opportunity to see two great quarterbacks go into an annual matchup against each other. Like, this just... the entire NFL is a little worse off because the Bengals have screwed this thing up so bad.
Yes, and look at like the team they played today. I would say, am I crazy to say the Bengals have a better roster than the Steelers?
No, I mean,
like,
100%.
I don't know. The Steelers defense is awesome, so you could make the argument the Steelers are better.
And
but the fact that we're at least having this, like, whichever way you want to go with this, like the Bengals are the one with the MVP level quarterback, blah, blah, blah. And you look at one team is maybe going to run away with this division, and the other team's 4-8. Like, that's coaching, man. I'm sorry, Zac Taylor. They were right to be patient with him. He got him to a Super Bowl, but it's all kind of crashing down around him. And like I said, somebody's having an answer for this at the end of the year. You just can't come back with a status quo after you go whatever they're going to end up. I think this team is going to lose double-digit games. Like, you're going to go 6-11 or whatever you're going to go. Changes have to be made after that. I'm sorry. Defense coordinator for sure, and I think there's going to be a lot of heat on Zac Taylor by the end of the year. No matter what, like, even if they win out at this point, like, they're not going to make the playoffs. You're going to have to say, how on earth did we miss the playoffs with Joe Burrow playing this well?
Monday Night Football on December 9th on ESPN is the Bengals at the Cowboys. God, I wonder how that game didn't get flexed. There's just somebody explained to me how that game.
It's a Simpsons thing. Did you read about this? Like, I think this is a thing. I've read about this in passing. That it's because it's a Simpsons broadcast. They had all the graphics done.
Oh, yeah.
And it takes forever.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
You can't just be like, okay, now do the
Can't
same thing for like Broncos Chargers. Like, you can't flex it.
That makes a ton of sense. Look at that. Frank Schwab educating me as he does. It's not just you guys getting an education.
It might be totally made up, but I saw it on Twitter.
No, that makes total sense. Like, they've been working on that Simpson thing for a long time. So that makes a ton of sense. Okay.